Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Mindset Explosion. Yes, it's season 5. We're on episode number 7 for this year, and I'm so excited because finally I've got my first interview of the year. Thank you, John Paul Reilly, the first one coming on the show today. So really excited to talk about this. We just had a brief chat and talking about, today is about how to balance your work life. We just went into that a little bit, which we'll hopefully share with everyone in just a second. If you are listening on the podcast, don't forget, leave a nice 5-star review. If you're watching on the videos, drop in some comments. If you've got any questions about work-life balance or anything to share, drop it in there, and we'll do our best to put our spin on there, or however. So let me just explain what's going to happen. It's going to be a little bit different on the interviews today. So I'm going to introduce, or John Paul is going to introduce himself in just a second. And we got a little quick fire round. It's a new thing I've put on the show, John Paul. And we'll have a deep dive into your journey. Find out then some tips that you got for work-life balance and top tips for positive thinking. So John Paul, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. In a few words, please tell us what you do so the viewers can get a grasp of what you're about.
Well, I'm a seven-figure business owner. I've got three businesses. One that does 7 figures, and the other 2 don't. It's the smallest way to put it. Got a bathroom installation company, multi-award winning, been going 7 years. I've got a property portfolio as well. I've been doing that for 13 years, it turns out. I discovered last night, talked to my wife, and I do coaching as well, which is all about processes, procedures, getting that work-life balance right, and mindset, and your limiting belief, and chucking that in the bin and starting fresh.
I love it. So we're talking about work-life balance, and you sound like you're just busy as hell.
Yeah, I am, but I still have more. I have more free time when I want to have the time than I've ever had, because I now have people in place to do things better than I can, and everything has a process now, so that if anyone was to walk into my bathroom business, for instance, there is a Bible that tells them what light switches to turn on, where they turn them on, where to sit, what to do, who to phone, who to email for absolutely anything in the business. So if I drop down dead tomorrow, then someone can walk in and take the reins. Because if you don't have something like that, then you've really got a job that's 24/7 and you can't leave.
Yeah, that is so true as well. My original background was engineering, and everything was about quality assurance and processes like that. And it is amazing how much you can transfer all those skills into. You can pretty much put that into any business, can't you?
Yeah, people don't realise how transferable their skills are. Yeah. I remember speaking to a guy that I worked with a long time ago in a bank, and he was clearly not happy. He'd worked all he'd ever done is work for a bank, or this particular bank, all his life. I know he was just miserable and complaining. And I was like, why are you here? I say to him one day, why are you here? You're not happy. I don't know anything else, was his answer. He didn't think his skills were transferable. But if you've got a skill set of dealing with the public, then you can take that to anything, speaking to the public. It doesn't necessarily need to be a banking institute. And again, it could be anything at all. It's like, there's a saying I heard from an old boss was, what do chili con carne, spaghetti bolognese, and lasagna all have in common? It's all just mince. It's all just mince. It's all just beef. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. It's all basically the same thing. So if you are a salesperson and you can sell cars or whatever it may be, property, that skill is transferable to a new product. You just need to learn the product and you'll be away again. And his limiting belief kind of stopped him from doing all that.
It's so true. It's so true. Just think about my own journey, really. So I think we'll come back to this in a minute, John Paul. So new to the show is our quick fire round, which I gave you a bit of a teaser yesterday in an email, right? So for you, and bear in mind, we're going to talk about mindset, your business journey, and your property journey as well today. But what do you prefer, podcast or YouTube?
Podcasts.
Podcast. And what's your best one at your go-to?
High Performance Podcast and the Stephen Bartlett Diary of a CEO is my 2 top podcasts at the moment, followed by the Disruptors. It used to be the Disruptive Entrepreneur, but that's recently changed. But that'd be my go-tos.
Brilliant. All right. So probably going to answer the question now. Anyway, I've probably answered the question a little bit, but do you prefer book or audio?
Audio.
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 Best one?
Audio book. Best one. Oh, I read or I listen to 3 books a month generally. But one I keep going back to in my head when people ask this question is The Chimp Paradox by Steve Parker, Peter or something like that. Yeah, Peters.
Rogers.
Steve Peters. And I found that to be fascinating, how your brain works, and it helped me tremendously. So if anybody ever asks about things, that's one of my go-to kind of mindset books, if you like, because it helps you understand why you're behaving the way you're behaving. And then when you understand, you can then make the change.
Yeah, I absolutely love that book on audio, and because he's reading it out as well, absolutely love that book. Yeah, it's one of my top ones, definitely. It's why I'm smiling so much. It is a great book. Okay, do you prefer to have a mentor or being a mastermind, or go your own way?
Oh, the mentors all the way, mentors and masterminds all the way, every day. It's like people go to the gym and they can do exercises, but if they have a personal trainer, they can tell them if they're doing the exercise right or not. Study that technique, which you might not be aware of. You might be lifting a really heavy weight, but you're going to hurt yourself because you're not doing it right, so you're not getting the real benefit out of the exercise. Whereas you have a PT, you have that person going, oh, stand a wee bit like this, do it a wee bit like that, and so you get that, and you get the support and encouragement from as well. So masterminds and coaches and these things are so important, so important.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, having been teaching martial arts, the one thing I'd always be saying is keep your guard up. You'd be saying that to the high level ones. So, and I guess you'll know as well within business that I pick up bad habits from time to time. And when you're in a bit of a problem, what I love about a mastermind as well is that, like when we've spoke, you'll look at something I'm doing, I might have a problem with it, and you'll have a totally different outlook to it. And it'd be something I hadn't thought of.
Yeah. Sometimes if we're in a situation, especially if a stressful situation, we focus on the problem opposed to focusing on the positives of the situation or the solutions to the situation, because all you can focus on is that one thing. And sometimes you need to step back or have someone else who is out looking in to help, just to give you that light bulb moment, and you go, oh,
yeah,
why did I not think of that? That's such a simple, obvious answer. Because you're focusing on something that you maybe shouldn't be.
Definitely. Well, that's the power of the mastermind. And obviously, we'll talk a bit more about your coaching that you're doing, John Paul, because I obviously just hearing about the processes, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I know what value you can give just in one little thing like that's going to be, so important. Finally, for the quick fire round, it's not really that quick fire, is it? But I'm sort of working on it. Give me a break, man.
It's me, it's talking too much. It's fine.
Right, that's fine. Who is your most influential person, past or present, and why?
Oh,
this could go horribly wrong for me. This is a new thing.
Influential person.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, who am I going to say? That's a hard one. I couldn't think.
Last night. Come on, help me out.
I know. I'll help you out. Me, I'm my own influential person.
I like that.
And I don't say that in a big-headed, I'm perfect, amazing way. Me, because I self-analyze all the time in every situation, especially when it doesn't go well, which we can be guilty of hiding away from. So me in 5 years. That's what I like.
Yeah, I like that. Well, at the end of the day, you've got to decide if, let's say, we're part of the same mastermind. We just talked about that. So if Rob's on there saying something, and it's, you got to decide if you're going to implement that or not. So in a sense, yeah, I think that's a
self-love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's got to come first, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, so let's get a bit more into the interview. So how did you get started? What came first? Was it property or business? And how did you get started in business? And what was your big why?
My big why? I didn't like being skint.
No.
It was my big why. I started out with lots of side hustles growing up. So when I was about 14, 15, instead of having a paper round, which I did have at one point, I had a gardening business, because I figured out that I could maybe cut 2 or 3 lawns in an afternoon, opposed to delivering 50, 60 newspapers and it first thing in the morning and get more money for it. I outsourced fixing the local shopkeeper's van to my brother and his friend and got a cut of the money. When I was in my late teens, I was going around cash and carries and get fake Tommy Hilfiger watches for $2.95 plus VAT and sell them for a tenner. Fibre optic Christmas trees were also a thing, so I was buying them and selling them on the side as well as having jobs. And then I always had that desire, but never had the bravery or the balls to just go, I'm doing it full time. So I've always had some kind of business or side hustle. My property journey started because I met a girl. I sold my flat to buy a house with her, and we got the keys on the 30th of November, and she moved out in between Christmas and New Year that year because she had a boyfriend. So I was left with this house I couldn't afford, so I had to rent it out. So I rented it out and went, this is easy. People are giving me money for nothing. This is easy. So I started doing property. And then I got the opportunity to open a bathroom business for a mentor. And the coaching side of things came about from being coached and then putting information out for free because I enjoy it and I like helping people. It's part of my kind of things I enjoy. And that's how I ended up doing coaching. It was more because I enjoy it. I love helping people. So that's how it came out. But the big why was, when I grew up, if you wanted something, you got it yourself. I didn't live in poverty, but my parents didn't give as much because they didn't always have much. So if there was a school trip, if I wanted to go on a school trip, I had to pay for that myself. Don't even ask. Don't even be so silly to ask for the money from your parents. And that's where the hustle came from, wanting more and just believing that I was always worth more than where I was at. Not that I'm better than anyone, but certainly where I was at in life, I always went, this is okay, but I'm sure I could do better. And wanted nice things in life and a nice lifestyle. So to do that, you need to work hard and do your own thing, I believe. Unless you're the part of the 1% of our CEOs of big companies who get paid millions to run companies on behalf of other people. For the best part, if you want to do really well in life, you need to go out there and do it yourself.
Do you feel there's a big enjoyment from that, getting stuck in and the reward that you get, that it's like you've built this up?
Yes, because I've had jobs, and I think that when you have a job and everybody gets paid the same, no matter if they work hard or not, it takes away the drive for me to work as hard as you probably should, because you're getting paid to work hard. But you're kind of like, well, why would I do that when other people are not and getting paid the same?
Because they're getting paid more.
Yeah. So, but as you do it yourself, it's for you. You've got that sense of that was me, you know. But I used to go out at Valentine's Day, fun because Valentine's Day. I used to go and buy 500 roses from the fruit market, the flower market, get my mum to wrap them up for me, go around offices and garages, sell some, and then at night go around the city centre and sell them. Before this was in the 90s, knowing that I'd took that risk by parting with that money, and if you put it in perspective, 500 roses maybe cost you £500-600. I was earning £600 a month at that point, so it was a bit of a risk. But to know when you come back home and you've got all that money sitting there, you know, it feels good. It feels good because you know you've created that yourself, opposed to someone giving you it whether they work hard or not.
So I guess you put the pressure on yourself with that.
Yes, and I still do to this day. I have a goal that's probably a bit unachievable and figure out how we're going to get there.
Yes.
Figure it out. Because if it's no hard, it's not worthwhile doing, is it really?
No. And I love that. I'm so similar. I just set absolutely ridiculously crazy goals, but I try not to think too much like the how. It's like a little bit at a time, obviously. Yeah, but like, the figuring out. So you got quite an engineering sort of brain there, have you?
Yeah, I have an SVQ in mechanical engineering, funnily enough.
You can do it.
Which I forgot. Which I forgot I had until I was clearing some paperwork out one day a couple of years ago.
But do you think that's why you come up with these processes? You've been able to process and systemize your bathroom company.
Yes, because you don't want to be doing everything all the time. So for other people to do it, you need a process and stuff in place. I'm very much a mechanical person when it comes to my thought process. I like to do the same things. So I go to the same cafe most mornings and get the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I like wearing my uniform for the bathroom shop because I don't need to think about it. It's part of the process. That's what you do. I love that. I love having a process.
It takes away a lot of decisions, though. So, you know yourself running a business or running multiple businesses, and you know, I'm about to get into property similar to yourself. And I think if you've got those things in hand, then otherwise you're just making the same decision over and over. When it's there, it does, like you said, you got someone there that can take over, who can step in. But I think it takes away a lot of decision making, which is a big part. You know, we're having to make big decisions sometimes, aren't we? So
if we can make 10 good decisions a day that are 100% on the money, and you need to make 20, 10 of them are not going to be that great. So the more decisions you can take away from yourself because there's a process in place and you don't need to think about it, the better. It lets you concentrate on the high value decision making skills that's needed.
Yeah. Well, I was once told that we have 7 decisions in a day, so that's it, and then we're done.
That's probably 3 more than I can cope with.
Probably, yeah. It's probably about 7 more than I can cope with, but I find a way. So you teach in your coaching, you teach a lot about work-life balance. Is that right? And obviously that's a bit of kind of the theme of today's show as well. What are your top tips? You've probably kind of said some of them with systemization, but what are your other top tips in achieving a good work-life balance?
Boundaries.
Oh, yes.
Boundaries are a big thing. You do not need to be available 24/7.
I love that.
I used to check my phone every couple of minutes to see if anybody had messaged in the Facebook page, or if anybody had sent an email in, if anybody made a stupid comment that you would have to delete. And I was constant. So when you're sitting with your family, you're not really sitting with your family. You're just in the same room as them.
Yeah.
So when you start setting yourself boundaries out, this is what I'm doing on that day. And it will take a nuclear bomb, a big disaster, a fire, before I will not do that.
Definitely.
So when you put these boundaries up and you put those limitations there and minimum standards there, you'll start to do them. And the things that you thought were impossible become normal. They become habit. I had one client who was a plumber, and if his phone went and somebody wanted a quote for a job, he did it, regardless of what time of night it was, regardless of what he was doing. And I was like, why? And he's like, because if I don't, someone else will. But they'll still be there in the morning. And he would go out and see people at night because he was letting them decide when he was to see them to go and price a job. So instead of saying, I'm available this day at this time, this day at this time, what one suits you best? He was going, I'll just come round whenever you want. So the customer then says, well, I get in from work about 5, then I'll have my dinner, sort the kids out. Could you come round at 7? Whereas if he says, I can come round at 5, or I can come round at 4:30, on this day or this day, what one suits you? The person then turns around and goes, I get in at 5, I can see you at 5. But if you allow them to fill your diary, they will fill it to what suits their needs and not yours.
I think that is such an important tip. Such an important tip.
Yeah. That, when you start doing these things, though, it becomes normal.
Yeah, it does.
And you realise that you don't need to worry that, if I don't go out and quote that job in the next half hour, somebody else will do it and they'll get the job. They phoned you for a reason.
So I guess the other tip is to have more of an abundant mindset.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. When you stop worrying, things start to flow your way.
Yeah, And as well, I guess like with that, if you're going out in that example, then your head's a bit scarcity. So you're probably going to get beat down on price anyway because you're just so desperate. And I think sometimes it can give that wrong impression. Do you think so?
Yeah. That energy you're putting out is what bounces back to you. So if you've got nervous energy, that person's going to pick up in that.
Definitely. All right, they're good ones. I like them. Any others to have a good work-life balance?
When you're at work, you're at work. Just get to work, get it done. Don't mess about on social media. Don't talk nonsense about this, that, and the next thing. Get your work done. It's amazing the amount of people I speak to who now work from home and say they get so much more work done in a day because nobody's coming in interrupting them and still having a chat and a coffee and X, Y, and Z. When you're at work, you work. When you're not at work, you don't work.
Have you ever tried? Is it the Pomodoro method? Have you ever tried that? You know, which you set a time, and I use this quite a lot. I get loads done. Set a timer, put the phone away. That's it. Boom, I'm off I go.
No, I don't. But I work from my phone because I don't always spend that much time in the shop anymore. So I need to be, contactable. I'm in the fortunate position where I only make the big decisions now. So if something goes wrong, how are we going to deal with it, John Paul? I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know what to do in this situation. There's your answer. Or, right, the bill's in for this and this and this. We're paying that today. And control the money side of things. So I need to be next to my phone for those things and checking emails. But certainly, if you find yourself getting distracted, then you need to put it away. I used to sit in the shop myself and I would have YouTube on or I would have Netflix on in the background because it was quiet and I didn't really like sitting to myself. And what I found was I was just watching Netflix, and before you know it, an hour and a half passed and you've watched 2 episodes of Suits and you've not done any work. I watched a full series of Suits one day and got no work done. And so I now work in silence when whenever I'm working. It's no music on, no radios, no YouTubes, nothing. It's off, and I'm working, and I get far more work done that way because I don't have that distraction.
Totally agree. I got into a bad habit working at home, and I'll be sat on the sofa or led on the sofa, and then it went to the kitchen. But I don't really want to work from the kitchen now. I just come up, obviously, just move the room about upstairs, and just find that much more productive as well. So I think the environment comes into that. Would you say as well?
Yeah. And everybody's environment is different. Some people can't work without background. They don't like the silence. They find it deafening. I'm not. I like the silence to focus. But everybody has their own way of doing things. I know people who work at one end of the kitchen table from each other and they work away, and husband and wife doing 2 different jobs, but it works for them because they just know they're there. That's enough for them. Whereas I would need to be at the other end of the house. I tried it once. I think it lasted an hour or 2 hours with my wife. She was sitting and our pals were texting her and she's chuckling away. I'm like, do you need to do that? Do you need to laugh? What's going on? And she's like, you telling me I can't laugh at my pals' jokes in my text? And I'm like, yes. Because I just can't cope with the distractions. But it's whatever works for you. And I wouldn't be afraid to change. So if you're finding your routine, you're finding what environment works best for you, don't just do it because John Paul said, work in silence. If that's not you, then don't do it. It's like people that get up at 5 a.m. and go, I'm in the 5 a.m. club. You're not getting up at 5 a.m. then you're rubbish. Well, what time did you go to bed at? If that doesn't work for you, find the balance that works for you.
I think that's a really crucial tip because there's so many of us out here saying, try this, try that, do it this way, do it that way. But you're absolutely right because even when I mentioned that Pomodoro, I tried doing the 25 minutes and I thought, I still feel I got more in me. And I'll take like a 5-minute break. So I just changed it around. So you're absolutely right. You've got to find what works for you. But it's good to get different, perspectives on things until you. Yeah. Okay, let's move on a little bit. So what's been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it within business?
Biggest challenge. Are we business or personal challenge? We're talking, or both? Or
both. Either. Yeah, let's go for mindset.
4, biggest challenge business-wise, 4 years ago, get up on the Friday morning, personal account's overdrawn, business account's overdrawn. I've got a $5,000 wage bill, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Went to work, was too embarrassed to tell my wife I had no money, and I didn't make her pack lunch because she would have thought that was odd. You don't normally do that, so I didn't eat all day at work because I had no money. I was in the shop in a corner, and I broke down and cried in a wee corner. I point to it from time to time when I'm telling people the story, but I'm not. It's just that way. And I gave myself 5 minutes, and then I was like, right, John Paul, if I just cry, that's not going to get you what you want. You now need to move, or you're finished. Right now, move, do something, get going. But sitting here is not going to get you what you need. And so I got up, I hustled, phoned round clients, chased up money it was owed in, and 5 o'clock I was paid the wages. I had enough money to pay the wages and get going again. And it gave us a great sense of fulfillment, because 7 o'clock in the morning, it wasn't looking good. And you're going to let people down. The embarrassment of letting people down, the embarrassment of telling your wife and your family that that's you, you're shut, you've got no money, you can no longer go on. And the moral of the money owed to people as well, that wouldn't have went away. So that was a great sense of fulfillment on that. And it let me understand that it doesn't matter how hard it gets, just keep moving, just keep going forward, that wee inch at a time, and you will get there. Stop and worry and cry about it for 5 minutes, and then that's it. But move, because you're not where you want to be, and standing still is not going to get you where you want to be. So that's probably the hardest day in business.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It just happens. And I think you're absolutely right there. Movement is survival. Even if you're feeling it, wake up in the morning, just get up, just get yourself moving, and the rest will come. And I think, do you feel that it's that movement anyway stimulates things and gets your brain thinking to then, find the solution to the problem?
Yeah, definitely. It used to be when I used to work in the shop, occasionally you feel yourself getting a bit numb and a bit stagnant, and I'd be like, right, you need to move. So I'd wake up and I'd brush the floor in the shop. Yeah. That was all I do. Brush the floor, maybe dust down a couple of the displays, and getting moving again was enough to stimulate me to go back to my desk and get on with what I was meant to be doing. Yeah. So unicycles never sit still when there's somebody riding them.
Yeah, that's true. I like that one. And I guess anyone who's watching or listening that's in business or getting started out, look, we're all in it together. We all go for the same things. I think coming back to the thing about the mastermind, that's what was so powerful for me, because sometimes it could feel quite lonely in a way. I tried to position myself into being more entrepreneurial, have great ideas, a bit like yourself, set a massive goal, then try and work out. And not everyone, and it's no one else's fault, it's just where it is with my circle, is not always going to get that. So put myself in, around people like yourself is like, yeah, I get this, I understand it. Yeah. So we see it from different eyes, but we have got to go through some of the hardships to get there. But you get through it, don't you?
We've all survived 100% of our hardest days.
There you go. And I think, I just think that, I don't think now because it's gone out of my head. I've only got 7 decisions. So.
on the mastermind thing, one of the best things I did was go to a mastermind and grow my network. I used to think that it was me that was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody else can be having these problems because they're not talking about it. But the people I was surrounded by weren't in business. Yeah. So they weren't having these problems. And it wasn't until I opened up my network to people that do the same kind of stuff as myself, and I realised that they have the same problems as me. They've actually phoned for my advice on a problem I had. Yeah. But I thought it was only me that had that problem. And you get a sense of relief, and the loneliness goes away, and you can build confidence on it. And that's one of the things about being in a mastermind as well, is that it's not lonely if you don't want it to be lonely. You can be around the right people, but certainly don't talk to non-business people about business. That's for sure.
Yeah, I had to learn that quite fast. Absolutely right. It's no one's fault. It's just it's everyone's life. Says you got to seek out the right. Well, we've got mentors around us, whether we like it or not, haven't we? It could be the guy down at the bar, just knows your best mate's tennis partner's aunt, his cousin, whatever it is. So
yeah, you get your PT in the gym to help you to be your fitness. You don't ask him about your business goal, about how to achieve your business goals.
No.
But but he knows what he's talking about when it comes to that element. So you may have your friends, your family in the pub, and they're good for a laugh. And certain conversations you can have with them, and they're amazing at having those and support or whatever that may be in shape or form. But if they don't know about business, their opinions are uneducated because they've never had a business, so they don't actually know.
I agree. So how do you develop, or how did you develop your mindset to where it is now? Obviously, you listen to podcasts, we talked about mentorship, but what was the main, was there any other specific ways, or is it pretty much what we said?
I've always been Mr. Optimistic. I've always been the guy that's like, I'll be all right, we'll get there. And I've always been quite upbeat and stuff like that. And I listened to Tony Robbins a wee bit, but his voice kind of annoyed me. I know he's very popular and stuff, and he does an amazing job of what he does, but I find his voice a wee bit overbearing. And I started searching for mentors and stuff, and listening to the podcast and listening to books and being more open-minded. And that's what got me the kind of big ball rolling, if you like, from that little snowball to the big snowman, and getting going. Nothing specific of moment, although one moment was a guy called Billy Farrell. He's a property media guy. He said in one of his videos one day, you can all listen to these motivational quotes and watch all the training videos, but see, if you don't put it into action, you're wasting your time. And I thought, I might be a bit of a time waster, because I do a lot of these listening and learnings, but how often do I put this into practice? Start to do that. And then when I started to measure what I was doing and seeing the difference, and having a quick check back of, I would have reacted like that in the past, and I've reacted like that now. Good, let's move forward again. And then the momentum started to build. It's like when you're pushing a car, it doesn't start off by moving very fast, but the more you push it, the faster it gets with the momentum. And personal development for me is like that. Once you get going, it becomes a habit, and then you get that momentum, and then it becomes a bit addictive as well, I think.
Yeah.
I'm 2 hours a day doing some form of personal development, whether it be audiobooks, podcasts, doing things like this to learn from other people, mastermind groups. And sometimes you sit and having a coffee with a couple of colleagues who are in business and listening to what they're doing and what they're getting up to. It's all learning. It's all development.
Yeah. And you kind of feed off that energy as well, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So what was, you say, maybe your big aha moment? You may have covered it. Like
big aha moment?
Yeah.
Probably Billy saying, stop just listening to this stuff, actually put it into practice.
Yeah.
That was a big aha moment for me.
I like it. Okay, so again, we're going to talking a little bit about some of the coaching that you do. Have you got some good tips for like positive thinking? Because you said you're very optimistic. What tips could you give to keep that positive attitude?
Remember that there's somebody wishing they had your life, the one you're complaining about. See the things you're bitching and moaning about, and you're going, oh, why me? There's somebody going, I wish I had that lifestyle. I wish I had their business. I wish I had their optimism. And there's also somebody else out there going, is that it? Is that the only problems you have?
Yeah.
Where do you see the mountain I've got to climb? And they wish they only had your problems.
Yeah.
And when you put things into perspective like that, you realise that it's not too much. There's somebody worse off than you, and there's somebody wishing they were a wee bit more like you. And that keeps me going every day. And I also believe, this is my I tell people this quite a lot when I'm talking about these things. I adore my wife. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. I love her to bits. If I could curtail her spending, it should be perfect. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do as part of my daily routine is I say, morning, love you. And I remind myself how fortunate I am to have someone as special as she is in my life. So to be worthy of someone so special, I need to be my best. And that gets you going. That's what gets me going in the morning. To be worthy of my life that I have, to be worthy of my wife and my children, they deserve the best version of me. and that gets me going every morning.
I like that. So it's a bit like having gratitude to your family to bring out the best in yourself.
Yeah, it's soon as it's Valentine's, I'll expand on it a wee bit. People say, "Oh, I've got all these horrible exes." Well, what's the common denominator? It's you. Oh, I know my ideal woman, man, or whatever it is, binary number that you want to be with. Where do I find them? Where will they be? It's not where are they, it's who do you need to be worthy of them.
That comes back to what you said earlier, is you got to be able to love yourself first. I think it's something I really learned. And I think someone posted this today. Who was it? I can't remember. It was someone in our network anyway, and it was mentioned on there. And I think you got to be able to love yourself first. And once you can do that, I found then the connections and relationships, it doesn't have to be love or not love, just with people, just connected a lot more. And they're much more valuable relationships in whatever context you want to kind of put it, really.
Yeah. That and boundaries are the two key things to relationships and being happy. I used to be a very shy person, believe it or not. I used to be quite shy, very loud to hide how shy I was as a mask. Really spotty and glasses and no dress. Still not really get dress sense, but people buy me clothes now, so it helps a little bit. And I was so insecure and I didn't love myself at all. Didn't even like how I looked, who I was. And if a girl liked me, that was my new girlfriend. It wasn't were they the right person for me? Did their personality traits fit with my personality traits? Was I attracted to them? None of that mattered. It was like, oh, attention.
Yeah.
You get the wrong type of attention, but as soon as you put your boundaries, your barriers up and go, right, this is the type of person I want to be around because I'm worthy of that type of person. Then you forge these better relationships, more meaningful relationships. I get that everybody puts their best foot forward when they first meet people, but if you put a false foot forward, it's not going to last. And any kind of business relationship or marital relationship, if you like, it just simply won't work because eventually your mask will drop, you'll show your real self, and then that wouldn't be the compatible person to you anymore.
Yeah, I think brilliant advice. Couldn't put it better myself. I think absolutely brilliant advice there. In every sense that you said, and I guess sometimes that's a bit of a learning thing we go through in life as well. We all have our things. And I can relate. I was always quite body conscious and shy myself, so yeah, I totally relate to that. What has been? Let's move on a little. Let's bring out the tempo. What's been your biggest win in the last? Well, it's been a tough couple of years, but what's been your biggest win last 12 months or over the last 24 months, whatever it may be?
Biggest win. Getting the car that I always wanted. Getting a car that I'd always wanted. Not always wanted. Seen a very expensive car that I didn't think I could afford. Putting it as a vision on my vision board last year.
Right.
And they got it by the May of that year. That was a big one because I was like, I'm not sure I'll manage it, but we're going for it. We'll figure it out. And going from the last 24 months from 6 figures to 7 figures in business.
Wow. Get in.
And then probably another big win would be being able to step back and stop being the guy that starts at 6, 7 in the morning to 7, 8 at night to don't really work that much now.
Don't let them know.
Don't let them know. Busy. So, when it's needed, I'm here. But I generally don't really start before 10.
Yeah.
Generally finish about 3 most days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a really big win, which might be a surprise to people because people say, what's your biggest win? They think material things and income and achievements and goals, like, awards that we've won and things like that. But time.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. That's probably the biggest out of all the things I've mentioned is time. Getting that time with my family, and because I missed that, and that's a regret that I have. I don't have many regrets in this world, but thinking that I had to work every God sense to provide for my family wasn't that accurate. You were doing it for the right reasons, but it was suffering in other areas. So getting that time back and discovering that my wife still likes me and my kids seem to like me. So it's all good. And that's far more valuable than, going out and seeing a customer and doing a deal and making money. It's far more valuable. Much rather hand that over to the lady in the shop who runs the shop for me and pay her to do that. And yeah, you don't earn as much money, but you can't put money on time because you don't get it back.
100% agree. And yeah, again, I can relate. And I think we said it off air, John Paul, that similar stuff. And I think starting out in business, yeah, you do have to put work in. But the thing is, I was in a job I really did not enjoy, and it just affected my mental health. So that would have affected the time I would spend anyway. So yeah, I think best not to have regrets about what may or may not be. It's where you are now. I think that defines us. The past is lessons, but it doesn't define who we are. But yeah, time, I just think, most valuable thing, and then it allows, and probably the same for you, it's allowed you to do. Yeah, you got time with family, but then you have the time to do some other projects if you want to. You got the benefit of choice.
Yeah, choices. Imagine waking up in the morning and having the choice of what you were doing that day. Imagine that. I posted, I need to go and do this, and I need to go and do that because I need to go and earn money, and I need to do this. And imagine having the choice just to go, do you know what? I'm taking the day off.
Yeah.
My wife and I had suffered a miscarriage fairly recently, and she wasn't feeling that great one day. It was getting on top of her, and I was able just to go, I'm with you today. Let's go. Let's go. Having that choice for that time to do as you want.
Yeah.
Opposed to going, I understand, but I need to go.
Yeah.
Two different scenarios for the exact same thing. That time.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, again, it's the choices that makes a difference, and that's be able to get ourselves into this position. Is there any? I love the fact you got a vision board. So is there
I have two.
You have two, yeah.
Well, two. I have a yearly one that's here, which I keep getting it around the wrong way. And so that bit there's just a list of things that I want to be better at: more books, better business person, better husband and father, and all that. And then I have a one for 2024, which is when the lease is up in the shop. And I've got some goals for that. And it is also on, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's also on my watch, my Fitbit watch. So it's also on there. So every time I look at the time, I'm reminded of why and where I'm going and the plan.
I like that. I'm going to have to do that now. I like that one.
Yeah. I've seen people put it on their phones and their iPads and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I've got it on my watch, my Fitbit, so every time I check the time,
it's there. I like that. I'm going to write that one down. So yeah, is there anything you're working on at the moment, and what's your big goal for then? Would you like to share it?
No, things we're working on at the moment is going to try and get some more awards this year for the bathroom business. I like to try and get a couple of awards every year for that. That's a big goal of mine. Stay out doing less hours. It's a big goal of mine because I'm inherently lazy. Don't like to work and get somebody else to do it. I'll get them to do it.
Yeah, that's smart.
And grow the coaching side of things because it's been more of a hobby than it has been a business. It's get the odd client every now and again, and I enjoy it. But maybe putting a bit more focus on that and growing the coaching side of things and helping people because I love helping people. I love to see them grow and developing. One of my clients is came to me and said to me not too long ago, I was out on Sunday and I was cutting the grass and blah 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 and doing this and I was doing that, and my wife brought me a beer over. She's never brought me a beer over when I've been doing DIY in my life, so I must be doing something right now, and hearing those stories, like the time they've got with their family that they never had and how their relationships are better and stuff. I love helping with all those things.
Oh, that is rewarding. That's up there with time.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, pretty much the last question now. So what piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Single piece, that's hard because I like to talk. You're worth more than you know.
Oh, I like that one. I'm going to write that
Grew up very insecure. Didn't think I was worth much, but felt like I wanted more.
Yeah. You feel like there's something missing?
Yeah. Self-worth. You're worth more than you know.
Yeah, I like that one. What a great way to kind of sign off there. Obviously, you mentioned doing your coaching. Have you got any workshops that you do, or what's the best way people can get in contact with you?
I only do one-to-one coaching because I feel that people get the more benefit from that for what we do. And if anybody wanted to get in touch with me, they can do that via LinkedIn, just John Paul Reilly, and same with Instagram as well. That seems to be quite a popular place to find me, where you'll see daily videos of me giving mindset insights and coaching tips for running your business. That's the best places to find me. The profile picture that you used for this is the one you're going to look for on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Any other one, it's not the same John Paul. There's not many John Paul Reillys out there. There's not many, but you've got the right one. No, you've got the right one. You got it. Although you did tag me in Facebook on my personal page, which I don't do any kind of coaching things on.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. That's all right.
I tracked you down.
Track me down. That's fine. You've seen pictures. We will have seen pictures of my dogs and my children. But that would be the best place to reach out. Everybody who reaches out to me gets a free 15-minute one-to-one call just to talk about what they're struggling with and to see if they're the right fit. So it may be that if I don't think you're going to put the work in and take action, I won't work with you.
Yeah.
I will only work with people that are action takers for two reasons. One, you're wasting your time. And certainly I don't want anyone going away and saying, oh, that didn't work for me when you haven't put the work in.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's down to the person you're coaching to do it.
Yeah. I ain't going to help you either. So, but no, that's brilliant. Listen, John Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. First guest of 2022. And just to add on what you've said about the coaching that you do, when John Paul's in the mastermind, you know, the couple of times I've heard you speak in there, you've given so much to that. You give so much value. And just in the 45 minutes that we've been going, I've been typing out notes. Absolutely brilliant. I think anyone that takes up your coaching is going to get so much, and I could tell that straight away as soon as you said procedures. So whatever they're doing, they're going to get absolutely loads from you. So I hope some people get in contact with you on LinkedIn and take you up on a one-to-one. You get so much more out of it, don't you?
Yeah. Group stuff is good. We're in a mastermind group and there's benefits of that, but I think when you're drilling down to things that are for you and you only, then it really needs to be one. And it's been brilliant being on. I love doing this kind of thing. It's been great fun. It's really, I would do these all week if I was invited to enough places to do them.
Yeah, me too. But I have got to do some work sometimes.
Yes.
At least 10. It gets a bit funny about it. No, not what I'm messing about.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for watching, everyone. So again, if watches on a rerun, please hashtag in rerun. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. And always drop us a nice 5-star review on the podcast. It just helps. Give it a share because everyone wants to hear it. I know they do. I can feel it. I can sense it in the Jedi powers that I have. I'll see you all next week for another episode. Thank you. Peace, love, always.